Hey YouTubers, today we have a dishwasher that won't power up. We're not getting any lights, none of the buttons work. So it's probably just a simple power problem. We're going to check a few things. So pressing in on the buttons, you don't hear any noises, you don't see any lights, there's just no response. First thing, of course, look underneath the sink and see if it's plugged in. Maybe somebody had unplugged it. That's a simple thing to check. Next thing is if you have a lamp or a radio, you can plug it into that same outlet and see if it has power. Yours may not have a plug, it may be hardwired, and you can go to your fuse box and turn off the breaker for the dishwasher and then turn it back on. You might also have a GFCI outlet, and there's a red reset button. This is the outlet underneath the sink. You can press in on that and make sure that that hasn't tripped. The next thing is to find out where the power wires come into the dishwasher and make sure the wire nuts are on there nice and tight. That's what we're going to be doing here. So we're going to take off this lower panel by removing a couple of screws. This is the lower panel underneath the dishwasher door. And then we're going to remove 1/4 inch screw here that's holding on the cover for this outlet cover where the wires are connected. And we're going to use a multi-tester to see if there's voltage at the wire nuts, and there is, so we know it's getting power. Now we're going to unplug it because we're going to check a fuse. Most dishwashers have a safety fuse that lives up inside the door near the controller. So in this model, we're removing a few, these are Torx 15 screws from the top. That's going to allow us to take off the top console, and underneath is the controller that controls all the functions of the dishwasher. But there's also a thermal fuse in there that sometimes can trip if things get too hot to protect the dishwasher, and it's really simple to replace it. I think that's probably what's happening with this dishwasher. That's the Torx 15 screw. So I did bring a new fuse with me, and they're really cheap. We'll put a link in the description below. It's a kind of a common fuse for most dishwashers. I got to take off this cover, and that's going to let me see the controller. And then I'm going to set my meter for continuity. I'm checking these two places on the controller. That's where the fuse is. And I'm not getting any beep. I'm not getting any sign of continuity. And that tells me that the fuse did pop. For some reason, something got too hot and caused that to pop. So I'm going to be prying off the little plastic holder that holds on the fuse. There's the holder. And then I'll pull the holder off of the old fuse, and then I just have to wiggle and pull these connectors that bring power to the fuse. There's two of those, so I'll wiggle those off. Then I'll grab the new fuse, and I'll go ahead and push that in. By the way, some of those fuses, if you bang them down on a hard surface like concrete, sometimes you can actually reset them, although it's best to replace it with a new fuse. So we put on the two modular connectors. We're going to put the plastic holder back on. We'll put that holder back onto the controller, and then we're just going to put it all back together. I think in this case what might have happened is there's a rubber seal, this black seal to the left, that may have come loose and allowed moist air to get in there and probably shorted out something, which made the fuse blow. So now that fuse has been replaced and we're putting the plastic cover back on, we'll make sure to get that rubber seal back in place so that there's no moisture that can leak in around the controller area. So we're just making sure this thing is clicked into place. And your dishwasher may look a little bit different, but they tend to all have a thermal fuse that lives up near the controller. So there's the little rubber piece. We're putting that into position. And that just seals out the moisture. And then I'm going to lower the door down so it's more horizontal. I'll get this console lined up and then I'll add those screws back in. So I believe this is on a Whirlpool dishwasher, but Whirlpool, Maytag, Kenmore is just another sort of name Sears puts on their dishwashers, but they're usually Whirlpools. KitchenAid, they're all pretty similar. And then on some of the German ones like Bosch and Miele, the thermal fuse is located in a different place, but it's pretty common to most of the American-made ones. So put those screws back in. This one hadn't been used for maybe about a month, so it had developed some mold. So I told the customer to make sure they wipe that down with a little bit of bleach. So we're just putting that cover back on again over the area where the power cord comes in, because we tested those wire nuts. Putting a 1/4 inch screw back in to hold that into place. And we're going to put the little bottom panel in there, and then we'll give it a test. Plug it back in. And yeah, we see lights. So that's all that was blocking that power from getting to the controller. Turn it on, close the door, turn it on, and it started up really good. Filled with water and did all of its functions. So we know that we're back with a working dishwasher for very little money to replace that small little fuse part. Easy to do. And sometimes it's just something wrong with the power cord or the breaker. So it's usually pretty simple situation to fix when you have a no power coming to the dishwasher. So everything's working. We got circulation motors working, the drain's working. And we can even hear the drains really active here, getting rid of all the water. So if you ever need to check for a drain problem, you can look at this thing, which is the air gap, and make sure that it's not clogged up. That's a common reason that a dishwasher won't drain.